Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 4. I am Uyai Anyakan, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari condemns murder of Catholic worshippers in Ondo. Judges storm court, challenge federal government, National Assembly over salary increment. Ukraine president visits Frontlines as fighting rages. Details of these stories and more in a moment. We begin the news with a report that President Buhari has condemned the attack on St. Francis Catholic Church in Awo, the headquarters of Owo local government area of Ondo State. Reacting to the incident in which suspected terrorists attacked the church with some worshippers feared dead and others injured, the president, who said Nigeria would never succumb to the dictates of those he described as evil and wicked people, condoled the families of the victims, the Catholic Church and the government of Ondo State, charging emergency agencies to swing into action and bring succor to the wounded. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has hosted stakeholders of the All Progressives Congress APC ahead of its national convention. The event, which took place at the banquet hall of the Presidential Villa Abuja, was a follow-up of the meeting he had with the national leadership and presidential aspirants of the party. The president used the occasion to underscore his desire to achieve a consensus candidate for the party's presidential ticket before the convention. Away from that, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has debunked reports that he was involved in an auto crash on Tuesday. Reports had emerged on social media that Osinbajo's convoy was involved in a crash along Airport Road, Abuja, but his spokesman Laulu Akande said the VP only stopped at the scene of the incident to lend assistance to a citizen who was involved in an auto crash. Akande further stated that Osinbajo has arrived at Awo in Ondo State, where worshippers were heinously attacked and killed at St. Francis Catholic Church in Awo, Ondo State. Elsewhere, the Nigerian Governors Forum is asking security agencies to ramp up efforts to apprehend the masterminds of the Awo church attack. The governors, who pledged to work with President Buhari and all Nigerians to ensure a more secure country, prayed for the repose of the souls of the killed worshippers and commiserated with the bereaved families, the entire people of Ondo State and the Catholic Church. To legislature now, where workers of the National Assembly, under the aegis of the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, PASAN, have commenced an indefinite strike over the non-payment of a backlog of salaries and allowances by the management. PASAN issued the strike notice on Sunday in a statement issued by its Secretary General, Ahmed Awobifa. In the statement, the association stated that the indefinite industrial action became necessary after 3 notices to the management led by the clerk to the National Assembly, Amos Ojo, over the failure of the National Assembly management to implement the subsisting Memorandum of Understanding jointly signed by the NASC, NAS management and PASAN on April 13, 2021. Meanwhile, no fewer than 60 senior advocates of Nigeria have stormed the National Industrial Court in Abuja for a legal battle against the federal government over the poor salaries of Nigerian judges. The senior lawyers are challenging the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami San, the National Judicial Council, and the National Assembly, seeking an order to compel the upward review of the salaries of judicial officers. Reports say the Sans, who were from different parts of the country, had begun consultations on how to table their arguments and persuasions in the court and have filed a suit through Chief Sebastian San with Justice Osatonwen Obaseki Osage expected to preside over the matter. On education, the Joint Action Committee of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities and Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions has appealed to the federal government's renegotiation committee to fast-track the renegotiation meeting with the BRICS committee. Speaking in an interview with journalists, the national president of SANU, Mohammed Ibrahim, said the union was getting wary at the slow pace of the meeting, saying if the renegotiation was not concluded, there was no way the strike would be called off. It added that the BRICS committee would conduct a test on the university's peculiar personnel payroll system today. Recall that on March 7, 2022, the federal government inaugurated a 7-member committee chaired by the PRO Chancellor Alex Ekweme, Federal University Ndufu, Alike, Professor Nimi Briggs, to renegotiate the 2009 agreement reached with the unions. To politics now, where former Deputy Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Professor Kingsley Moghalu, and founder of Roots Television Nigeria, Dumebi Kachiwu, will on Wednesday contest for the presidential ticket of the African Democratic Congress. Speaking ahead of the event scheduled to hold in Abeokuta, Moghalu, according to a statement made available to newsmen, promised to secure the lives and property of Nigerians if elected, adding that he would ensure that security is placed above ethnic or religious interest. On his part, Kachiwu, in a post on his social media page, promised to initiate public service reforms to eradicate corruption and win the war against terrorism. Meanwhile, ahead of the 2023 general elections, Oyo State Deputy Governor Rauf Olaniyan has dumped the People's Democratic Party (PDP) for the All Progressives Congress (APC). The Deputy Governor announced his defection while briefing journalists in his office in Ojo, Ibadan, the state's capital, following rumors for several weeks of exiting the party. Olaniyan said his followers and party leaders have been asking him to move out of the PDP for a while, and he can no longer hold them, so he has decided to join APC. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Dom Emmanuel has commiserated the government and people of Ondo State over the unfortunate violent attack on St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, Ondo State, which left scores of worshippers reportedly dead and several others severely wounded. This was made known in a condolence message issued by his Chief Press Secretary, Ekerete Udo. According to the message, Governor Emmanuel condemned the dastardly act, which has left several families in tears. The governor condoled with the families of the slain worshippers, the government and the good people of Ondo State, and prayed God to give them the strength to overcome their grief. Meanwhile, Governor Emmanuel sued for peace across the country, wondering how people could unleash such mayhem on innocent worshippers without any form of provocation. He further urged the law enforcement agents to fish out and bring to justice those behind the act. Meanwhile, the Akwa Ibom State Police Command have tasked public and private medical facilities, doctors and other medical caregivers to immediately attend to victims of gunshot victims before reporting to the police. Speaking on Spectrum Television, the State Police Public Relations Officer SP Odikos Obeche MacDon made the call while fielding questions in Spectrum Television Breakfast Show.
That such persons who come into facilities carrying gunshot wounds as a result of any form, be it robbery or accidents, or mostly as a result of maybe attacks, should be attended to without delay. The whole essence, as I said, is to ensure that lives can be promptly saved rather than allowing them to bleed to death. But I think what people should do in such scenarios is you first and foremost, because first aid is key. So you do not have to wait like what that hospital did. That was wrong. At least you carry out the initial or the preliminary first aid treatment. You try to stop the bleeding or control the bleeding while contacts are being made or people are being called in to assist. But that initial first aid, that initial treatment must be commenced. And where you see that probably the drugs that needs to be done are not available, you begin to make contact.
Still in Akwa Ibom State, Ibom Air, the state-owned and run air carrier, is celebrating its 3rd anniversary. The anniversary, dated for 7th June, began with cocktails and partnerships over the weekend to commemorate the celebration. To mark this huge milestone, they celebrated big at Silverbird Cinemas Uyo, a special opportunity to appreciate Ibom Air's customers for their loyalty over the past years. Our correspondent has the rest of the report. And Ibom Air began celebrations to commemorate her 3rd anniversary. Ibom Air has been outstanding over the last 3 years, and whether you fly often or not, you will know this is not an easy feat at all. An airline with great on-time departure times, polite staff, and an overall good service excellence. To mark this huge milestone, they celebrated big at the Silverbird Cinemas Uyo, a special opportunity to appreciate Ibom Air's customers for their loyalty over the past 3 years.
The whole purpose of this evening actually is to say thank you. It's not like we're celebrating 3 years. We are using the opportunity to say thank you to you.
Well, it's been rewarding. I had fun doing this today. I mean, it's something I would do over and over again, especially considering the fact that we celebrated a branch that is associated with excellence. So it's something I would do over and over again.
It was excellent. We had fun. I loved every bit of it. The tension, I was like, so we had fun. Thank you so much.
Hey, my name is Ewoma Luta Begunde, marketing manager at Silverbird Film Distribution, and tonight we're just super delighted to be celebrating with Ibom Air at the 3rd year anniversary, and then with a special screening of my movie, Top Gun Maverick. This is the sequel to the first part that came out in 1986. So 36 years after, we're having the sequel of the movie, and really since it came out on the 27th of May, it's been fabulous in cinemas.
My name is Idong Isis. I've been with them from inception.
Wow, so you can absolutely tell the entire story.
Exactly.
How do you feel about Ibom?
Oh, Ibom is the best. That's what I can say.
Hosting cocktails while partnering with Silverbird Cinemas to premiere the movie Top Gun, Ibom flyers turned out in their number, decked in glam to celebrate. The color, the warmth in the evening, the smiles and emotions made the evening worth the while. Sharing the story of greatness and felicitations towards the anniversary, Spectrum Television News was there to bring it all in. Meanwhile, the senator representing Akwa Ibom Northeast Senatorial District, Obongbasi Albert, has urged his supporters and stakeholders to let go of every anxiety and remain calm, peaceful ahead of the 2023 general elections as they await court proceedings on the Electoral Act. Speaking during a special interview at Planet Radio, the senator gave an overview and a deep insight on issues concerning zoning, ad hoc committee, defecting to another party, and Electoral Act amendment. In Africa, veteran Kenyan politician Raila Odinga has announced that he has chosen the country's Iron Lady, Martha Karua, to serve as his running mate in the presidential election during August. Karua, a former presidential candidate herself, earned the moniker Iron Lady as she rolls through the male-dominated ranks of Kenyan politics. According to Odinga, history is calling on him to close the gender gap in the country, describing Karua as a reformist, fighter, and a safe pair of hands. Karua said she was deeply honored to accept the nomination, describing it as a moment for the women of Kenya. Reports say if the pair win the high-stakes polls, Karua, a lawyer and former justice minister, will become Kenya's first female deputy president.
Say and promise you that we are going to conduct ourselves as candidates and also members of our movement in a manner that conforms with the requirements of the electoral laws.
Still in Africa, the Democratic Republic of Congo's Inspectorate General of Finance (IGF) in a report has revealed points to numerous irregularities in the management of the state-owned mining company Siga Mines, which says has caused the loss of hundreds of millions of dollars. A summary of this IGF report on the management of the Geka mines lists the many problems found as irregularities in the transfer of mining assets through partnership contracts, lack of transparency in the signing of contracts, prejudices in the transfer of rights, failure to pay taxes due to treasury, presumption of embezzlement of public funds, selling off of the real estate of the company, and many more. Reports say the IGF has not been able to trace more than $400 million out of a total of some $600 million in tax advances and loans to the state. Moving on to the foreign scene now, where the UK is sending its first long-range missiles to Ukraine. The Defense Secretary has said despite a threat from Russia to the West, the decision was coordinated with the US, which announced last week it was also supplying a rocket system. Announcing the move, Ben Wallace said the UK was taking a leading role in supplying Ukrainian troops with the vital weapons they needed to defend their country from unprovoked invasion. Ben Wallace said the M270 multiple launch rocket system will help Ukraine defend itself against Russia, adding that the Ukrainian military will be trained in how to use the launchers in the UK in the coming weeks. In a related development, Russia is threatening to expand the list of targets it will attack in Ukraine if Western countries send long-range weapons to Kyiv. Russia's President Vladimir Putin gave the warning as explosions shook parts of Kyiv in the first assault on the capital city for weeks. In an interview on the Russian state TV, Putin said, "In general, all this fuss about additional arms supplies has only one goal, which is to drag out the armed conflict as long as possible," warning against sending missiles with long ranges. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has met with troops on the front lines in Donbas as heavy fighting raged in the eastern industrial region that Moscow has focused its forces on taking. Zelensky visited command posts and frontline positions in Landsek, which sits across the Severensky-Donetsk rivers from Severodonetsk, where Ukrainian troops were pushing back against Russian forces, who had earlier appeared on the verge of taking the strategic city. He also visited Bakhmut to the southwest in the Donetsk region of Donbas and talked with servicemen. Still to come in the news. Nadal storms to 14th title at Roland Garros French Opening. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned. On our business news, the National Bureau of Statistics has disclosed that Nigeria spends 1.51 trillion naira on the imports of premium motor spirits, also known as petrol, in the first quarter of 2022. This was 25.54% of the total imports for this quarter, and an increase of 17.05% when compared to the 1.29 trillion naira spent on importing fuel in quarter 1 of 2021. According to the NBS report, a total of 675.93 billion naira was spent on fuel subsidy in quarter 1 of 2022, which is 44.86% of the amount spent on fuel import. Meanwhile, according to calculations of reserve movement on the Central Bank of Nigeria's website, Nigeria's foreign reserves stood at $38.483 billion by May 31st, 2022, declining by 5% from $40.521 billion reported by the end of December 2021. On the other hand, South Africa, Africa's second largest economy after Nigeria, grew its foreign reserves to $60.28 billion by the end of April of 2022. Reports say by the end of April 2022, when South Africa last reported its reserves, Nigeria's foreign reserves stood at $39.579 billion, having declined by 2.3% since December 2021. Foreign reserves are assets held on reserve by central banks in foreign currencies, according to Investopedia. These reserves are used to support the economy and boost foreign exchange markets during emergencies or periods of crunch. In health, the World Health Organization has said that 780 laboratory confirmed monkeypox cases have been reported to it from 27 non-endemic countries, while maintaining that the global risk level was moderate. The WHO said the 780 figure for cases from May 13 to Thursday was probably an underestimate due to limited epidemiological and laboratory information. The UN agency reports that few hospitalizations have been reported, apart from patients being isolated. The WHO listed the non-endemic countries reporting the most cases as Britain 207, Spain 156, Portugal 138, Canada 58, and Germany 57. Besides Europe and Northern America, cases have also been reported in single figures in Argentina, Australia, Morocco, and the United Arab Emirates. Still in health, the Nigerian Medical Association (NMA) has condemned the wanton killing of worshippers at St. Francis Catholic Church, Owa Oluwa Street in Owo Town, Owo local government area of Ondo State. In a press release signed by the association's president, Dr. Uche Ojinma, the NMA said the recurrent shedding of innocent blood in the country has been going on for far too long, and it is the position of the Nigerian Medical Association that explanations, condemnations, and reassurances are no longer comforting from the government and security agencies. While commiserating with the government and people of Ondo State over those who lost their lives and praying for the quick recovery of those injured in the attack, the NMA appealed to the residents of Owo to visit hospitals where victims were being treated to donate blood to save lives. In sports, Liverpool has been informed by Napoli president Aurelio De Laurentiis that a €100 million bid would land them Victor Osimhen. Recall that a month ago, Victor Osimhen was declared as being open to move to the Premier League because he only wants teams able to offer Champions League football. Napoli president De Laurentiis has told the likes of Liverpool and Bayern Munich that they must pay £86 million to sign Osimhen. Osimhen, 23, is a fearless player, and his heart and goal-scoring ability would no likely appeal to Liverpool. The Reds are set to lose both Djokovic, Origi, and Sadio Mane this summer, and both offer Jurgen Klopp a physical presence in the box and the ability to play a direct style of play. The former League One striker started 26 games in all competitions for Napoli last term and directly contributed in 24 goals, 18 goals and 6 assists. Meanwhile, reports say the Manchester United have also requested for information on a possible Osimhen move to Old Trafford multiple times. Still in sports, Rafael Nadal has competed in 14 finals at the French Open and has 14 titles on Sunday. Nadal beat Casper Ruud in 3 straight sets, 6-3, 6-3, 6-0. Reports say it is the first time in Nadal's career that he has won both the Australia Open and French Open in the same year after his injury in Rome 3 weeks ago. Nadal made just 18 unforced errors to 26 for Ruud and hit more winners, 37-16, to beat a player who idolizes him and has trained at his tennis academy in Spain. On entertainment, singer Davido, comedian Mr. Macaroni, and other celebrities have expressed their sadness over the attack on St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, Ondo State. It was learned that the incident happened in the church, which is less than 200 meters away from the palace of Olowo of Owo. Reacting to the attack that led to loss of lives, the entertainers decried the lack of value to human life in the country. Still on entertainment, Mariah Carey has been sued in the United States for alleged copyright infringement over her global hit 1994 song, All I Want for Christmas Is You. In a court document seen by newsmen, the plaintiff, a musician named Andy Stone, says he co-wrote and recorded a festive song of the same name in 1989 and never gave permission for it to be used. In the suit filed on in Louisiana, Stone alleges that Carey and her co-writer Walter Afanasieff knowingly and willfully, intentionally engaged in a campaign to infringe his copyright. Reports say he is seeking damages of $20 million for alleged financial loss. Recall that Carey's song is one of the most successful music singles of all time, topping the charts in more than 24 countries and enjoying considerable airtime every Christmas. The song has sold an estimated 16 million copies worldwide and earned Carey a reported $60 million in royalties over the last 3 decades. Meanwhile, Stone's song, released with his band Vince Vance and the Valiants, enjoyed moderate success on Billboard's country music charts despite having the same titles. The song sounds different and has different lyrics. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 4. I am Uyai Anyeken. Thanks for watching and do enjoy the rest of your day.